On January 22, 2024, Ayodhya was a city bathed in light. After years of anticipation, the Ram Mandir was officially inaugurated in a ceremony that dominated headlines across the globe. The building itself is an exercise in Stone Age engineering applied to the modern world. Standing 161 feet tall and built in the traditional Nagara style, the structure contains no iron or steel, relying instead on precision-carved sandstone and interlocking joints. At the very center of this massive stone footprint sits its focal point, the Ram Lala idol. It was carved from a specific type of black stone to depict Lord Ram as a 5-year-old child. But the celebration on the surface is only the final chapter. This opening concludes a 500-year cycle of conflict over the exact physical location the temple occupies. To understand why this day was so significant, we have to look past the new construction and focus on the bare dirt beneath it, a highly specific 2.77-acre plot. Over 5 centuries, thousands of lives and multiple national governments have been staked on what happens within these specific boundaries. Resolving the question of who owns this soil required the fall of empires, decades of social upheaval, and India's longest-running legal battle. To see how a single piece of land could carry that much weight, we have to trace the evolution of the dirt itself, back to a time when it was first physically divided. The conflict is rooted in a claim that predates modern records. For generations, this exact spot has been revered as the birthplace of Lord Ram, traditionally cited as the location of ancient temples. In 1528, the physical nature of the site shifted. Mir Baqi, a commander for the Mughal Emperor Babur, built the Babri Masjid directly on top of this ground. By the mid-1800s, escalating religious clashes over the site forced the British colonial government to intervene. Their solution wasn't an adjudication of who was right, but a physical barrier, a literal iron fence across the property. This created a mechanical division of worship. Muslims offered prayers inside the domed mosque, while Hindus gathered at a raised platform called the Chabutra, located just outside the fence. The British fence didn't resolve the underlying claims. It merely locked 2 opposing faiths into a state of forced proximity, freezing a growing religious stalemate in place for nearly a century. The stalemate broke on the night of December 23, 1949. Under the cover of darkness, idols of Lord Ram were placed inside the central dome of the mosque. The government responded by locking the gates and declaring the site disputed territory. For the next several decades, the 2.77 acres sat behind padlocks, becoming a political rallying point that defined the 1980s. In 1990, LK Advani launched the Rath Yatra, a chariot procession that drew millions into the movement. The march to Ayodhya became a focal point of national tension, ending in a violent confrontation with state police. Everything culminated on December 6, 1992. A massive, uncontrollable mob descended on the site, breaching the security cordons that had been established around the property. In a matter of hours, the crowd physically demolished the Babri Masjid, dismantling the stone and brick structure entirely. The destruction realigned the priorities of Indian politics and triggered nationwide riots that claimed thousands of lives. With the mosque gone, the battle moved away from the streets and into the quietest rooms in the country, the courts. For 26 years, the Indian Supreme Court deliberated over who truly owned those 2.77 empty acres. The judges were tasked with an incredibly complex legal puzzle: how to weigh archaeological evidence and religious tradition against modern property law. A central pillar of the Hindu legal case was the doctrine of juristic personality. This allowed the deity, Lord Ram, to be treated as a minor in the eyes of the law, giving the entity the right to own the land and sue for its possession. The Muslim defense countered with the concepts of waqf by user and adverse possession, arguing that centuries of continuous prayer had established an ironclad legal right to the land. In 2019, the court issued its final verdict. It awarded the entire 2.77-acre site to the Hindu deity, while simultaneously ordering the government to provide 5 acres of land elsewhere in Ayodhya for the construction of a new mosque. It took the framework of modern constitutional law to finalize a religious stalemate that had lasted for half a millennium. legal clarity paved the way for physical labor. With the title settled, the focus shifted from the courtroom to the quarry. This transition was visible in the work of sculptor Arun Yogiraj. After months of carving the primary idol, he was forced to restart entirely when his original stone failed a critical structural test. Yogiraj and his team moved into a grueling schedule of double shifts, working through the night to ensure the new idol captured the specific innocence required by the scriptures. While the temple was carved, the city around it was rebuilt. Ayodhya is now the center of a multi-billion-dollar transformation into a spiritual smart city with a new international airport and massive rail terminals. The temple rising from the dirt is the finished, tangible result of generations of persistence, the moment where abstract legal victories were finally translated into stone. Today, the site is a destination for millions. The sheer scale of the devotion found here reflects the depth of the commitment that fueled the movement for centuries. The presence of Prime Minister Modi at the inauguration signals the site's integration into the highest levels of modern national history. But the significance of this land has now moved beyond its role as a destination or a tourist hub. The temple stands as a testament to how India navigates its deepest internal divisions, resolving a centuries-old struggle through a combination of unwavering faith and the heavy machinery of constitutional law. After 500 years of shifting claims and violent flashpoints, the 2.77 acres has transitioned into its current form as a finished monument.